So here we go. First things first, what I want to do is start with the header. I'm going to use my shapes and I'm going to choose the ellipse tool and choose a blue. And if you want to have the exact same blue that I have, it is 438 BF7. And you can change that color up here in your colors palette right here when you choose your shapes. And I have the ellipse, and I'm going to go ahead and hold shift and drag this circle roughly about this size, 245 or something like that. Hit return to commit that. And I'm going to move it up a little bit because I believe it's a little bit higher. So I'm going to move it up like so. That looks good. Now, to finish off this logo, I'm just going to use the text tool. And I'm going to use Helvetica as my font of choice. And the font color, or the color, will be white. And just put the text here and say the, all caps, the pretty blog. Now, obviously that's way too small. Let's make that font size something like 24. And right align it. Commit that change so you can use your move tool to move that text over a little bit, somewhere right here. And last bit here, use the text tool, select pretty, and make that bold. Now, if you want, you can change pretty to have a different color too. So you can select pretty with your cursor, select the color picker, and then choose kind of like a nice yellow, something like, F0D700. Commit that change, and there we have our logo. If you want to hide the guides and show the guides quickly, click Command and H, and you can toggle the guides like so, if you want to be able to see without the guides. There we go. We're pretty close so far with the logo. The color's a little different, but that's okay. You can use whatever color you want. Now we have the tagline. Let's select right here on the side of this grid here after this gutter and say in lowercase, where design matters. That is obviously needs to be left aligned, and the color, let's make it the same as this blue. So use your color picker tool and it'll give you your little, whatever that kind of the eyedropper tool, and you can click that and it will choose that color. Let's make the font size 18. Commit that change, and that looks pretty good. Cool. Okay, next up we have our navigation bar. Just select anywhere over here for now, and we'll realign it in a sec. And we're going to start by typing home. I'm going to do all caps. I believe that's what I did in the past. Yes. Home. And then do 4 spaces after. 1, 2, 3, 4. About. 1, 2, 3, 4. News. 1, 2, 3, 4. Blog. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then contact. And then commit that change. Actually, don't commit that change yet. Select it. Change the font color to 333333. Kind of a darker gray. And now commit that change. Now, drag it so that it lines up on the right side with the edge of the gutter right here. Now I'm going to make the font size smaller, so I'm going to select that again. Select the whole line. You can select it using your cursor or go Command A. Now I'm going to change this to 14. That should be a good size. That looks good. Now we need to commit that and drag that over with your move tool to the right side. Now, a little trick. If you want to make sure that the baseline of this text lines up with the baseline of this tagline, use a ruler. Guide. Use a guide. And drag it to the bottom here. And you can see this needs to be moved up a bit. So make sure that layer select and use your cursor, if you're in the move tool, to press up a few pixels until it lines up. And that looks good. Cool. And now if you want to remove that guide, you can select it here, drag it all the way up to the ruler, and release it in the ruler. And that will remove that guide. All right, so we're so good so far. So far, so good? All right. There we go. So we're looking pretty close. Now what we want to do is we want to achieve that brush effect. And this is kind of cool. I'll show you how to do that right now. Select a color like the yellow. Maybe this yellow over here with your color picker. And now choose the brush tool. Now you can choose the brush tool by clicking B on your keyboard or selecting the brush tool in your palettes menu right here. Select a brush, whatever one you wish, but I'm choosing something like this one. And the size, I'm going to make it, I don't know, let's say 20 pixels. See how big that is. Okay, so it's not showing up for me here because we need to have an empty layer in order to draw the brush. So go ahead right down here in the bottom right of your screen and click Create a New Layer. And that's where your brush will go. So I can see the brush outline. It's a little small, so I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Let's say 40. There we go, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag while holding Shift from right to left across this navigation text. Like so. Keep holding Shift, move it up here, and then drag again. Okay. Now you could see that it's over top of the navigation menu. This layer just needs to be moved down one, and then you should be okay. So if you didn't like how your brush effect looked, you can obviously delete it and retry it again. I think this looks kind of neat. It's a little bit of like a splattered effect. And now I'm just going to move that layer up a little bit so it's a little bit more aligned. Looks a bit better like that. Cool. Okay, what do we got next? We got let's go for the blog here. We got the blog feature image. Okay. I provided a download for you. In your redesign folder, you'll see header image.jpg. Go ahead and drag that header image, which again is a Creative Market download. If I haven't sold Creative Market to you yet, hopefully I have by now. So I'm going to use I kind of jumped into that little quick, sorry. Let me drag that back in for you. Drag it into your canvas here. There we go. Before you hit commit, hold Shift and resize from the top corner so that this image fits from the third column in, and make it fit 7 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold Shift, drag it until it snaps to this guide. There we go. And now commit. Now, as you can see, this image takes up a little bit too much space on our screen. I could resize the canvas, but I kind of just want to make the image smaller. So a cool little trick that we haven't learned yet is called masking. You can actually mask any layer to a custom shape, whether it's a square, an ellipse, like a triangle, any custom shape you want. So I'm going to use the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to drag from this guide over to say to this guide, and then make it about, let's say, 220 pixels high. There we go. Now all I have to do is make sure this layer is selected, header image, and then down in the bottom of your palette, your layer palette, there's a little icon here called Add Layer Mask. Click that, and now you've essentially trimmed that image. You could have just deleted that section of the image using your marquee tool or the eraser tool, but what I wanted to do was mask it, because now I still have the original image, it's just masked. So over here you could see this is the mask, this is the image. If I don't want the mask anymore, I can right click on that and delete the layer mask. So it's a non-destructive edit. Now, if I don't like the position of the image within the mask, you can easily change that by clicking the lock icon, selecting the image here in the layer, and now with your move tool, you can move that image. And to me, that looks good. Perfect. And now relock that. Perfect. Now what do we got? We've got the learning how to code is fun and some lorem ipsum text. Okay, so now just hit your text tool. You can click T on your keyboard or just the T over here in your palette. And make sure the color is something like 333333, just like a black or a gray. Select here and say learning to code is fun. Select that all, Command A, and make it something like 24 pixels. Too big. 18 pixels. Check mark. Use your move tool to move that so it lines up with the guide. Perfect. Text tool again. T on your keyboard or T over here in the tools palette. You can drag to select how wide you want your text box to be. So I'm going to say it's going to be those 7 columns and roughly 120 pixels high. Now we just put in just a bunch of text, whatever you want. I have a cool little plugin called Lipsum, which lets me add lorem ipsum to anything really quickly. So I could just choose a paragraph of lorem ipsum and now paste it. And now I have some lorem ipsum. Let's go 14 pixels font size and regular, not bold. I'm going to resize this box just a little bit, so I have space to do a couple returns here and say read more. Select your read more. Change that color to this blue so it looks like a link. And perhaps make that bold. Cool. Commit that change and we're looking pretty good. Cool. Now let's move that whole section up because it's just too much white space here. So I'm just going to need to select those layers. We've got our lorem ipsum. We've got learning to code, header image. Sorry, not that. I think that's it. And now I'm just going to, since I have those selected, use the move tool. And I can click up on my keyboard while holding shift to move it up 10 pixels at a time. Pretty cool. Okay, so we're looking good. Now we need to add the post info here on the left side of this post. Click your text tool. Now make a box about the size of these 2 columns. So exactly the size of the 2 columns. Right align that text. Let's go ahead and make it regular sized and 12 pixels. Okay, now we're going to say date. Next line. Just put a date, any date. I'm going to say May 1st, 2015. Let's say author. On the next couple lines down, we'll say Brad Hussey or your name. Couple returns and categories or categorized in, and let's say coding. Now I want to make the titles of each of these bold. So select date, make that bold. Select author, make that bold. Select categorized in and make that bold. Commit that change and you're done. That section. Looking good. Now we just need to add our sidebar and our footer. So now we're going to add the sidebar. Select your shape tool, click and hold the shape tool and choose the rectangle tool. Make sure your fill is a gray color. So that 333 color. 333, 333. And no stroke. You should have no stroke on there. Nobody wants a stroke. And select about the same height here on this guide and drag that box, roughly 400 pixels high. And I want it right to the edge of the screen here. There we go. I'm going to hide this properties tab. And go ahead and hit return and you'll commit that change. Okay, now we just need to add some text in here. So I'm going to hide the guides, Command H. And it looks like we have categories, a few links, and newsletter. So let's do that. Categories, use your text tool. Your color of the text with your color picker needs to be white. And let's make that font size 18. Select in here and let's say categories. Left align that and commit that change. In under there, we need to have some links. So these categories will be coding, couple of returns, design, couple of returns, freelancing. Select that, make it regular, font size 14, and the color, let's make it that yellow. There we go. Commit that change. Use your move tool to line it up with the categories here. And let's just move this down with my cursor. That looks good. Okay, now I want to use this category's same style down here. So all I got to do is select categories in the layers, right click, duplicate. Now I could just use my move tool to move it down. There we go. Line it up. Change this text to newsletter. Commit that change. Now we're going to use a few shapes, just a couple shapes here to create what looks like form inputs. So use your shape tool or U on your keyboard. Make sure it is the rectangular shape. The fill needs to be white. Okay, and now we're just going to use our guides again to roughly get something to line up to. And I'm going to make it go all the way to the edge of this, this gutter here. And 30 pixels high should be just fine. Okay, now I'm going to need one more of these identical ones. So duplicate that layer. Use your move tool to move that down. Now if you want to be perfect, you can line it up to the bottom and then go shift and use down on your keyboard. That'll give you 10 pixels, and that's a perfect 10 pixels. Now what we're going to do is duplicate this one more time. Hold shift and use your keyboard down key to move this down. There we go. Now resize this last one. Use your transform tool, Command T, or image free transform, and drag the left side here to around here, the beginning of that gutter, and commit that change. Now we're going to change the color of this button actually. So select it again, select your shape, and now change the fill to this yellow by clicking your color picker and select that yellow, and now you should be good. Cool. Return to commit that change. Command H will hide your guides. All right, now all we need to do is just put some hover text in here. So I'm going to use my text tool, and my color will be, let's just choose like a lighter gray there. Type inside of here, we're going to say first name. I don't want that to be so big and bold, so regular sized and 14 pixels will be good. Commit that change. And I'm going to use my move tool and my cursors to fine-tune the position. Okay, another text tool instance here, and this is going to be email address. That should maintain its font style. There we go. Text tool, move tool to fine-tune the position. Looks perfect. Now one more. We're going to use some text down here. Join. Let's say join. Select that text and let's make it darker. Let's make it the color of this thing here, sidebar background, and bold. Use your move tool and your cursors to fine tune the position of that text. Last bit, we have our text down here in the footer. Very, very easy. Use your text tool, show those guides, and just select over here. We're going to say copyright. Copyright is Command G, sorry, Option or Alt G. That should get you the copyright symbol. 2015, The Pretty Blog. All rights reserved. And commit that change. Some more text over here. Let's just do some phony links. Privacy policy. Let's do 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Terms and conditions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Affiliate disclosure. Commit that change and reposition that with your move tool to the right side here along that gutter. I'm going to change the color of that text to a lighter gray. Let's go for something like that. And let's make it smaller. No, I'd like 14. Let's leave it at 14, but not bold. There we go. And I'm going to move that over so it lines up with that gutter again. And let's change the color of this text, the copyright, from to regular, and I believe it was A6, 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 a light gray. And there we go. We redesigned the blog, the ugly blog. So let me show you the before. There's before. There's after. So you did a good job. If you followed along, I know it went a little fast, but it's the beauty of video. You can go ahead and pause, and that's okay, because in all honesty, if I went as slow as the slowest person who's watching this video, you would hate me. You would hate watching my videos, and this course would be 40 days long. I could have spent 2 hours to do this design here, but I didn't, and that's okay because you can hit pause and you can take 2 hours if that's what you need to do. So good job. See you in the next lecture, my friends.